Welcome to WTW's Global Marketplace Insights series, where our experts bring you the latest risk and insurance perspectives.
Hello everyone, my name is Bill Creedon and I'm the head of our WTW Global Line of Business for Construction. Today, I'm going to share with you some quarterly insights from around the world and give a snapshot of some of the trends we are seeing. I'm a traveler, so when I look at the market globally, for me it's a lot like looking out of the window of a plane at 35,000 feet or 10 kilometers. You can see trends in a picture that can look one way from that plane seat, but differently when you get closer. So such as today, from a higher up, we can see a lot of green shoots of positive shifts in the marketplace. I've heard a few times people mention there's a stabilization happening. But as we get lower and focus on certain regions or specific coverage lines, you can see what looked green from afar actually has some brown spots and even bare spots. So let me bring that into what it means in the construction markets. As we're coming up on the end of Q1 2023, we're seeing a bit brighter picture in the global construction insurance marketplace. We've seen improved pricing conditions, coverage, and capacity for many global commercial lines of business. But again, even with that said, there's a few areas that I would still consider difficult, such as project-specific professional liability, commercial property, and cyber is another tough area. We use these examples because the commercial property all-risk market, you can see the evidence in a few different ways. You see it in the reduction of line sizes across many risks, coverage restrictions, and reduced coverage terms being imposed. These variables are really being seen most frequently for operations or projects where underwriters have concerns over project risk management, projects exposed to Nat Cat events, especially right now. It's actually not difficult to identify the catalyst for this type of market response. You just need to look back into 2022 and most notably the recent Atlantic hurricane season. Hurricane Ian turned out to be one of the costliest events on record, with insurable losses expected to exceed $65 billion US. In addition, we've had historic and catastrophic floods in eastern Australia that resulted in more than $3 billion of US dollars in losses. These type of catastrophic experiences throughout the year, it pretty much set the course leading into the reinsurance treaty renewals, which resulted in some really difficult outcomes and significant cost increases that in general, they're going to be tried to be passed on to the insureds. Another area that continues to look like a hard market response is found within the professional indemnity area, where it continues to be a really challenging marketplace with rates continuing to rise, capacity being reduced, retentions being increased, and coverage restrictions being mandated by the underwriting community. Initially, Australia was one of the first regions to experience a significant marketplace tightening in the PI. But similar challenges are now being encountered in North America and in Europe. We see fewer lead insurers willing to underwrite and really price risk. And in turn, the project-specific professional liability market, it continues to harden. And we predict in continued increases in rates really for most types of projects. Speaking of projects, another area to highlight is around the ongoing availability, or maybe better said, the lack of availability to obtain competitive terms for project program extensions. That area, it just continues to be exceptionally problematic, and solutions require time to assure the best outcome. This is compounded as many insurers who historically have offered very competitive terms, they're now in runoff and limiting the capacity they are willing to deploy. The unfortunate result for the insurance buyers is the marketplace dynamic. It opens the doors for a number of variables that can significantly impact pricing. Look closer, and again, you see a few different potential impacts. An example would be when markets are willing to provide extension terms and they take on a new risk that's close to completion, it opens the door to re-underwriting the entire project. and that means they're going to reprice. But again, they now have the full advantage of that project's experience to date. So including recent the upward market shifts, that's going to come into play. And of course, they gain the benefit of adjusting of premiums for the increase throughout the economy with the global inflation impacts, and that impacts project costs from materials, supply chain impacts, delays, and of course, labor. I mentioned the perspective of looking down from a higher vantage point at the market to see trends or opportunities. One such anomaly is in some cases domestic and direct insurers in most regions. They might not be feeling the same pressure of centralization, and they're able to, in some situations, to get more creative and find some flexibility in pricing and coverage offerings to really maintain retention and premiums within a local market. If you think about it, it makes sense. A local market can have more familiarity and awareness of risk, and sometimes cultural understanding of the contractor's or owner's reputation. That experience can give a level of confidence to the underwriter that allows them to reach a client's or broker's expectation while also confident they'll achieve the targeted underwriting results. This just supports that being able to canvass markets globally and from experience identify the best access points can potentially make a positive difference on achieving the best possible outcomes. So yes, local markets, they can be a good option, but more than ever, the underwriting appetites in London, Bermuda, and other international markets, they remain robust and thus provide a much needed access point for the more technically complex and capacity-driven risks. In general, looking at rates, as we've just shared in our recent rates trends tracker, we anticipate the outlook for 2023 for projects will still experience what we've been calling a two-tier marketplace. Those projects that can demonstrate really a best-in-class risk management approach will most likely see rate increases that fall within low single-digit range. Conversely, the second tier, those projects, risks with poor claims experience and without robust risk management plans or a prescriptive formal loss mitigation protocol, they are going to endure sharper hikes, potentially double digits. These same situations will see rates compounded further if the specific project is exposed to heavily exposed to Nat Cat. As it pertains to the industry overall, the global trend in construction spending going into 2023 will be focused predominantly within infrastructure, energy, and utilities. The firm Global Data, they're forecasting that global construction output will grow by just 1.8% in 2023. Having posted an estimated growth of 1.7% in 2022, the industry is hopeful to regain some growth momentum from going into 2024. And obviously, it assumes an improvement in the global economic stability, which right now we all know is a little bit up in the air. While the private sector of the construction industry in the U.S. and Western Europe, they are facing headwinds of inflation, labor shortages, supply chain challenges for materials, the industry remains cautiously optimistic. Additionally, growth is expected in China, Australasia, and Latin America, where each of these regions will strive to finally return to pre-COVID-19 levels. So I've shared some of the big picture trends, but what are the actionable insights that can be summarized from our experience? Quick answer: time and information. I know you've heard this before, but most importantly, you need to start your renewal process very early. Have a specific marketing plan, develop comprehensive detail on your experience, your exposures, projects, and your risk management protocols. It's critical to differentiate the risk and the controls associated with your firm or a particular project to the underwriting community. It will make all the difference. We suggest also, when appropriate, utilize all the analytical tools available through WTW to further reinforce pricing expectations and optimal program structures. Work with your risk partners at WTW to anticipate the questions or concerns what we know the underwriters are going to ask and what the markets are going to want. Be prepared with explanations, supported by all the documentation that we can develop with you. Clients who are the most effective at articulating those operations, their risks, their losses, and their risk management protocols, they are going to be the most likely to be successful at obtaining competitive pricing in terms and conditions. I hope this quarter's insights, coupled with our regional rate trends tracker report, have been helpful. If you have questions or wish to discuss any issue in greater detail, please reach out to us. Thanks.